If your belly fat could talk, it wouldn't say, "I'm ugly." It would say,
I saved your entire bloodline.
right now, right this second, your body is running a 200,000-year-old survival program on a 2025 body. And that program has one obsession, one directive it will never stop following. No matter how many salads you eat, no matter how many crunches you grind through, no matter how desperately you want that belly gone, your body wants to store fat right here. And no, it's not because you ate too much pizza last Friday. It's not because you're lazy. It's not even because of your genetics. Well, not entirely. The reason your belly fat exists is because your great, multiply that by about 80,000, grandmother survived a famine, and you are paying the rent for her survival. But here's what nobody tells you, and I mean nobody. Not your trainer, not that fitness influencer with the six-pack who's probably dehydrated to the point of hallucination. Your belly fat cells have a biological lock on them, a specific receptor system that protects them from being burned. And once you understand how that lock works, you can pick it. Today, I'll show you the one reason belly fat exists, why your body chooses that exact location, what actually burns first when you fast, and a protocol you can start today, not in 12 weeks, trust the process, that begins shifting the hormonal signals within minutes. Stay till the end because this changes everything. Chapter 1. The Evolutionary Blueprint. Let's go back, way back, 200,000 years ago, African savanna. Meet your ancestor. Let's call him Greg. Greg doesn't have a six-pack. And honestly, thank God he doesn't. Because if Greg were shredded, if Greg had 8% body fat and veins popping out of his arms like some Instagram fitness model, Greg would be dead. Because Greg lives in a world where meals aren't scheduled. There's no breakfast at 8, lunch at 12, dinner at 6. Greg eats when he finds food. And sometimes, he doesn't find food for 3 days. His breakfast options are hunt, die, chew on sadness. So Greg's body developed a genius, and I mean genius, system. Every time Greg eats more calories than he immediately needs, his body doesn't waste them. It converts them into fat and stores them, like a biological emergency fund. But here's where it gets fascinating. Greg's body doesn't just throw fat anywhere randomly like you throw clothes on a chair. It has a hierarchy, a priority system, and the number one location, the VIP section, the penthouse suite of fat storage, your belly, specifically around your organs. Why? Think about it. What's the most important energy-hungry thing to protect? Your organs and your brain. So your body started storing fat inside the abdomen, close to the liver, the intestines, the kidneys, because it's fast access energy. It's like placing a backup generator right next to the hospital instead of across the city. This is visceral fat. And it was, for 99.9% of human history, the single greatest survival advantage a human being could have. Think of it as the emergency fund in your body's financial system. Cash in the wallet, immediately available. Your body deposits into this fund every chance it gets. The problem? Your body keeps depositing into this emergency fund, but the emergency never comes. The Uber Eats always delivers. The refrigerator is always full. That's belly fat's origin story, a brilliant survival trick that becomes a slow-motion disaster in the modern world. Chapter 2. The Alpha-Beta Receptor System. Now here's where it gets really fascinating, and this is the part that even most doctors never explain. Your body doesn't just store fat and burn fat like flipping a switch. Every single fat cell on your body has receptors on its surface. Think of them like tiny locks. And there are two types. Beta receptors. These are the green lights. When hormones like adrenaline or norepinephrine hit a beta receptor, it says yes. Release the fat. Open the gates. Burn it. Let it go. Alpha receptors. These are the red lights. When the same hormones hit an alpha receptor, it says, nope, lock it down. Hold on to everything. We might need this. Now here's the cruel part. The part that explains everything about why belly fat is so stubborn. The fat cells in your belly, your lower abdomen, your love handles, your midsection have a dramatically higher concentration of alpha receptors compared to beta receptors. Your face, loaded with beta receptors. Green lights everywhere. Your arms, mostly beta receptors. Your upper body, beta receptor paradise. But your belly, it's an alpha receptor fortress. So when you start dieting, when you create a calorie deficit and your body releases fat-burning hormones, those hormones go everywhere. They knock on every fat cell's door.
Fat cells, please.
But the response they get depends entirely on which receptors are waiting. Your face fat cells, come right in. Take what you need. Your arm fat cells, sure, no problem. Your belly fat cells.
No appointment, May? Then get lost!
This is why you've experienced that infuriating thing. You start losing weight, your face gets thinner, your collarbones show up. People say, wow, have you lost weight? And your belly? Still there. It's not your fault. It's not lack of willpower. It's a receptor ratio that evolution installed to protect your most critical energy reserve. And this is what gets me excited. Alpha receptors are not unbeatable. They're not a permanent lock. They're a conditional lock. And the conditions that open them? They're specific. They're hackable. And they respond to exact hormonal signals that you can create on purpose. We're getting to that. But first, you need to understand something urgent about what that belly fat is actually doing to you while it sits there, protected. Chapter 3. The Hidden Danger. Here's the dark irony of this whole story. Visceral fat, the fat inside your abdominal cavity, wrapped around your organs, is not just passively sitting there. It's not just stored energy waiting patiently. It behaves like an endocrine organ. It secretes its own hormones. It releases inflammatory molecules, interleukin-6, tumor necrosis factor alpha, chemicals that create chronic, low-grade inflammation throughout your entire body. This inflammation is linked to type 2 diabetes, heart disease, certain cancers, colon, breast, pancreatic, Alzheimer's disease, and even depression. Your ancestor, Greg? He never had this problem. He stored visceral fat, used it during the next famine, stored it again, used it again. It was a cycle. Fat was meant to be temporary. But the modern world is weird. You're not running from predators, but your nervous system acts like your boss's email is a tiger. You're never starving, but you're constantly stressed. Your body keeps depositing into the emergency fund, but the emergency never arrives. Ancient win, modern disaster. But remember what I said earlier, visceral fat is the cash in your wallet. The emergency fund. It was designed to be accessed quickly, which means, paradoxically, it's actually the easiest fat to burn, if and only if you send the right signals. Let me show you exactly how. I'm not going to insult your intelligence by saying, eat less, move more, drink water. That's like telling someone to win a chess match by moving pieces. You know the basics. If the basics worked alone, nobody would have belly fat. What I'm going to give you targets the system, the hormonal machinery, the receptor locks, the stress signals that decide where fat goes and when it gets burned. 3 techniques, all actionable today. No equipment, no gym membership. Technique 1, the cortisol sunset protocol. Remember, cortisol is the stress hormone with a direct line to your belly. It literally tells your body to store fat in the abdominal cavity. Cortisol should be highest in the morning and lowest at night. But for most people, it's reversed. You're calm in the morning and wired at night. Accumulated stress, screens, late meals, cortisol pumping at the exact time it should be crashing. When cortisol is high, insulin is high simultaneously. That's the most aggressive fat storage hormonal cocktail your body can create. And it deposits directly into visceral fat. Here's the protocol. 2 hours before bed. Non-negotiable. Step 1. Drop your room temperature to around 67 F. Cool environments signal safety to your hypothalamus. Evolutionarily, nighttime was cool. If it's warm at night, your ancient brain thinks something's wrong. Fire, danger, running. Cold means safe. Safe means cortisol drops. Step 2. 10 minutes of extended exhale breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds. Exhale for 8 seconds. This mechanically activates your vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve in your body running from brain to abdomen, and forces your parasympathetic nervous system online. This is not meditation woo-woo. This is mechanical. You are physically changing the signal your nervous system sends to your adrenal glands. A 2019 study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism showed that participants practicing daily vagal stimulation through breathwork reduced cortisol levels by 23% over 8 weeks, with measurable reductions in visceral fat on DEXA scans. Step 3. No eating within 3 hours of sleep. You're eliminating the cortisol-insulin collision. You're creating what I call the cortisol cliff, a sharp, clean drop that tells your body, we are safe. Stand down. Stop storing. Do this consistently for 2 weeks. Your morning cortisol rises, which actually helps burn fat during the day, and your nighttime cortisol drops, which shuts off the belly storage signal. You're resetting a rhythm that modern life has completely scrambled. Technique 2. Here's the thing about those alpha receptors locking down your belly fat. They respond to the hormonal environment. When insulin is chronically elevated, from constant snacking, from sugar, from eating every 2-3 hours, alpha receptors stay firmly locked. But when insulin drops and stays low for a sustained period, body senses real physical demand for energy. Those alpha receptors begin to lose their grip. 2 parts to this. Part A, the insulin drop window. Pick one daily window of 3-5 hours where you consume 0 calories. Not a massive fast, not starvation, just a consistent window where insulin can fall and fat oxidation can rise. No sugar drinks, no milk in coffee, no just a small snack. Water, black coffee, plain tea, that's it. Within minutes of stopping calorie intake, insulin begins trending down. Your body can't burn fat efficiently while you're still ordering appetizers every 45 minutes. Part B, the 90-second tension circuit. During your insulin drop window, ideally near the end of it when insulin is lowest, do this 90-second protocol. 20 seconds, hard wall sit, back flat, thighs parallel, maximum tension. 10 seconds, rest. 20 seconds, slow push-up hold, top or halfway position, full body squeeze. 10 seconds, rest. 20 seconds, deep squat hold, as low as safely possible, hold it. 10 seconds rest. Total time, 90 seconds. This is not a workout. This is a signal. What this does, it creates intense local muscle glucose uptake and triggers a burst of catecholamines, adrenaline, norepinephrine, the exact hormones that interact with those alpha and beta receptors on your fat cells. When insulin is already low, catecholamines surge, even alpha receptors start to yield. The doors crack open. Your body won't burn belly fat if it thinks you're a museum exhibit. You have to give it a reason. Technique 3. Strategic cold exposure, turning storage fat into burning fat. This one is fascinating, and it connects directly back to Greg. Your body has 2 types of fat: white fat, the storage fat, the belly fat, the villain of this story, and brown fat, which actually burns energy to generate heat. Here's the discovery that changed everything. You can convert white fat cells into something called beige fat cells, which behave more like brown fat through repeated cold exposure. And a 2022 study in Nature Metabolism found that visceral fat is more susceptible to this browning conversion than subcutaneous fat. Your ancestor Greg didn't need cold showers. He lived outside. He was cold all the time. His visceral fat was constantly being recruited for heat generation. He never had the chance to accumulate dangerous levels because his environment kept activating the burn cycle. You live in a 72-degree apartment. Your body has never once been asked to burn visceral fat for heat. It just sits there, growing, until now. The protocol: end every shower with 2-3 minutes of the coldest water you can tolerate, directed at your torso, chest, and belly. Why the torso specifically? Because cold receptors in your trunk have a direct signaling pathway to visceral fat deposits. Your body detects cold in the core and thinks, we need to generate heat near the organs. It begins recruiting visceral fat cells to convert to heat-generating beige cells. Alternatively, and this is actually more targeted, apply a cold pack or ice pack to your upper back and neck area for 20-30 minutes. This targets the zones where brown fat concentrates most, activating it to cannibalize white fat for fuel. A 2014 study in the journal Diabetes showed that subjects exposed to mild cold, just 66 F, for 2 hours daily over 6 weeks significantly reduced visceral fat specifically. You're literally reprogramming your belly fat from a storage unit into a furnace. You're recreating the one environmental signal your ancestors received every single day that you have been completely shielded from. 3 minutes. Cold water. Torso. Every day. Within 6 weeks, imaging studies have shown measurable reductions in visceral fat independent of diet or exercise changes. Here's the truth nobody wants to sit with. Your belly fat is not a flaw. It's not a failure. It's a feature. A 200,000-year-old survival feature written into your DNA by ancestors who fought, starved, froze, and survived so that you could exist. The problem isn't that your body stores belly fat. The problem is that the modern world never asks your body to use it. The cortisol from your modern life tells it to store more. The insulin from your modern diet tells it to store faster. The temperature-controlled comfort of your modern home tells it to never burn it for heat. And those alpha receptors? They lock the doors tighter with every passing day of abundance. You're not fighting your body. You're fighting a mismatch between your biology and your environment. So the answer isn't to punish your body. The answer is to speak its language. Your ancestors survived the Ice Age, the Savannah, the desert, and 10,000 years of uncertainty so that their DNA could sit inside you right now watching this video. If you want a part 2, why some people lose face fat first, others lose leg fat first, and the real science behind your body's personal burn order, comment Tiger and I'll know to make it. Subscribe if this changed how you see your own body. I'll see you in the next one.